Are you looking to optimize your health? Are you looking to get the best supplements at the lowest price? For high quality supplements and to talk to someone about what supplements are best for you, go to takeyoursupplements.com and one of our fantastic True Health coaches will help you pick out the right supplements for you that are the highest quality and the best price. That's takeyoursupplements.com. takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Be sure to ask about free shipping and our awesome referral program. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 123. Excellent. Well, I'm very excited to have an international guest with us today. Leigh Martinuzzi is an expert in helping us discover our hidden why. He has a wonderful story, and I love to bring guests that are about mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. And of course, we could be eating the right diet, exercising, and taking supplements, but if we're not plugging into our spiritual health, we're not finding out what our why is, our purpose is in life, and really fulfilling that on an emotional, mental, and spiritual level, then what's the point, right? What's the point in life if we're not living our path? And so our guest here today is to teach us about that. He has a wonderful podcast called The Hidden Why. He has a great blog. He has a show on YouTube. He has a book, and he does coaching and speaking. So there's all kinds of ways we can listen and learn from Leigh here today. I'm so happy to have you here to share with us how we can discover our hidden why.
Hey, Ashley, thanks for inviting me on. It's looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, and as you say, this is going to be a cracker of an interview, isn't it?
Cracker of an interview. Let's hope.
Well, I just love your accent. I'm from Canada. I don't know if you noticed that. Because I always
find it hard to differentiate.
Yeah, well,
I'll be honest.
I bet Canadians sound a lot like Americans, to an Australian, right? That living in Japan. And I'd love for you to start by sharing your story. How did an Australian end up living in Japan, teaching people how to find their hidden why?
Yeah, look, I lived here 10 years ago when I was single and without children. So that's my connection to Japan, and we were on a trip. Over a year ago now, probably 2 Christmases ago, we were just traveling around for 3 weeks, my wife and I and the 2 kids, down in Tasmania, which is the South Australian island there. And we were just cruising around, enjoying our life. And I said, look, why don't we go traveling? Because we both love traveling, and that's certainly one of our core values. So she agreed with me, and immediately I thought, well, where could we go? What could we do? And I had connections here in Japan, so I was able to get back here. And we made that decision pretty quickly and moved within a few months, sold our house and packed up everything. And we're over here now with the kids. The kids are in daycare or kindergarten, and we're living life. So love the experience, love the adventure. And for me, just that idea or that ability to be able to just change things up like that, it really allows me to just grow amazingly well. And there's a number of reasons why I did it, but the paramount reason was the adventure, the experience in life that we desire, but also we want to give our kids a learning experience as well. We think a new culture for them to grow up with and learn is powerful stuff. So and we can learn a lot about different cultures and about ourselves as well in that sort of adventure. So that's how we got here.
Absolutely. Now take us back to what led you to become this wonderful coach and speaker and podcaster, helping people around the world find their hidden why?
The hidden why. Yeah, I delved into personal transformation. So I was sort of at crossroads in life. I was in the corporate industry. Had a lot of things to be grateful for. I had a wife at the time. Well, actually, we weren't married, but I had a partner, and a good career. I had lots of cash coming in, lots of stuff. All that stuff that we prize and we aim for when we leave school. It's sort of the driving factor of our lives. But I just sort of felt a disconnect with it, and it just didn't seem to be fulfilling me any further or giving me any great meaning. And so I felt that disconnect, and I was introduced to a podcast and a mentor, which is David T.S. Wood from the Kick-Ass Life. And that was several years ago. And I started listening to Tim speak, and he was quite inspiring and motivational. And that's when I started really investing in myself. Prior to that, I was focused just on working and doing what I had to do to make the dollars and try and climb the career, the corporate ladder. And, outside life, outside work, I was really doing mindful sort of things that didn't really add value to my life, that didn't really help me grow. And David sort of helped me start looking within and investing in myself. And that's where the personal transformation journey happened. And I've always been a passionate writer. So I brought my writing back into my life and started writing about what I was learning and experiencing. And that's where the blog was formed. And then progressively over time, I was always listening to podcasts. So I decided to create my own podcast and share my learnings and experiences with others in hope that I'd, be able to offer value to another person to, assist them in their lives as well. So that's how it's all been born. And that's the mission I'm on. I'm still progressing. I'm still learning. I'm still experiencing, and I'm still sharing. And I'm improving day by day. If I listen back to some of my earlier episodes, I'm shocked to what I hear, and sometimes still what I say, I am shocked to what I hear. But that's what it's all about. I think if we don't express ourselves, if we don't really let out what we're learning, we miss out on a big part of life. And expression, I believe, is one of the keys to greater meaning. So that's why I do what I do. I love it. I'm clearly passionate about it. So that's why I can sustain it no matter, how large my audience is. I get a lot of value from expressing and sharing what I learn, because it helps my learning. It helps me progress more greatly. So, there's a lot of benefits to doing the podcast and the Hidden Why. Wow. But that's how it's been born. And I just want to help. I'm passionate about, living life with happiness. And I believe success for me is happiness. I believe success ultimately for everyone is happiness. And I recently had a friend sort of correct me on that and say, no, success isn't happiness. And I had to say, well, why isn't it? Because success is really, attainment of the goal that you want to, achieve or aim for. And if that's happiness, then if you're creating more happiness in your life daily and moving towards it, then that's success in my eyes. And from all the interviews I've done over 100 interviews with people of all walks of life, the one key element of everyone that they seem to be striving towards is that deeper sense of happiness. No matter what path they're taking to get there, that's what we all want. So that's what I really desire, is that deeper level of happiness, and that requires, ability to move the suffering, and that's what I'm all about too, the suffering in life. And I realize that I am the greatest cause of my suffering. I call it self-caused suffering, and so are we all. And once we can recognize that, then we can do the work to clear that out. And being that I'm very compassionate, I don't like to see other people suffer. I'm one of those guys that if I see someone that looks sad or down or, just not quite happy, and you can see it when you look at people, it sort of makes me sad. And I don't like to see that. So that's sort of where the drive comes from doing the podcast.
Easter just happened, and my friend invited me to her church service, which was totally out of my, I would say comfort zone, but out of my norm, because I was raised Anglican, which is, like Protestant, which is, practically Catholic, but we can divorce, right? And so that was my realm, very, conservative. We don't get up and dance in the hallways and raise our hand to Jesus. We don't, that wasn't how I was raised. But I have a great appreciation for people who can express their love of their faith in whatever way they desire, and that's comfortable for them. And so I went to a very liberal, uplifting service, and the minister, who was amazing, said something that just struck home so hard. He was talking about, redemption and basically because it's Easter, right? So we're asking to rise up and redeem ourselves. And he said, once you do that, like, he doesn't just leave people like, okay, we've redeemed ourselves, we asked to clear our sins, okay, we're going home. Like, no, that's just the beginning. He said, and I wish I'd written it down or recorded it because it was so perfect, but he said that if there's something that you really don't want, like if you look and you see someone suffering in a way that you go, I really would hate to suffer in that way. So, if you would hate to be homeless, if you would hate to be hungry, if you'd hate to be cold and not have clothing, if you'd hate to be depressed, if you'd hate to be lonely, if there's one thing that you could look across the room, if you saw someone going through an experience, and that's the experience that would be like your personal hell on earth, make that be your purpose to help that person no longer have that. So if you for me, it's like I immediately start to think about how can I feed the children? How can I there are and I love these charities that go and dig wells and feed children around the world, but what about the children in our own backyard, in our own communities? There are parents struggling and children not getting breakfasts. There are schools that have to basically feed the children in America and of course in other countries, but just in my own backyard there are children who are fed cold cheese sandwiches on white bread by the state, basically because their parents can't afford to feed them breakfast or lunch. And just and that lit a passion in my heart. I immediately felt it like a calling, and I thought, this is amazing. If we think about what one suffering would I hate to have, and how and what would happen if I would resolve that in someone else's life. And so for you, like, you would hate to have that feeling of not being connected to your purpose and feeling sad or just overwhelmed and not really plugged into your life. And so you saw this as a way, not only you're healing yourself and you're discovering your purpose, but your calling is to help others do the same. And so I thought, this is perfect. That's a perfect question to ask ourselves. Like, what is it that I would hate to suffer from, and how can I help others not suffer from it? Because now we're taken out of our own life and we're less ego and more focusing on solving other people's problems. And in that moment, we can find that we are connected to so much more, so the bigger picture, right?
Yeah, it's a really good way to look at it. Absolutely.
So
I think it's it's about scratching your own itch, isn't it?
Right. Yes. Your hidden why. Now you've got a book and you do this coaching. What are some steps that you help people sort of wrap their brain around to begin to decipher what their hidden why is?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. The book, by the way, is sort of a side business of mine. It's called Delegate to Freedom. So it's relation to hiring virtual assistants to become more effective. I am working on a book that's more related to the hidden why at the moment. So I just wanted to sort of clear that up. But yeah, to connect people with their why, it's people go, what's my why, and what's my purpose, and it's a hard question to answer, and I don't believe that it's innately within us. We're all rise from an egg and born into this world, and then we grow from there, and our why, I believe, is sort of it evolves with us as we experience this life. But certainly I think there's elements of our past that can give us hints into what our why is and what really fires us up. And that's by looking back at our early childhood and then teen years as well. And for me, I've realized in my path that over the conditioned state of our lives, our domestication, we become sort of taken away or torn apart from our why. We have a sense of disconnect. And that's because we're conditioned to sort of fit a mold that helps us to fit into society and become sort of citizens of this world. And I think that's where a lot of the disconnect happens, and it happens at school. We're taught that failure is bad, and so then we don't have the courage to express ourselves as we truly want to. We're sort of really molded into that fit of life and the fit of the status quo. And I think that's where the disconnect occurs. So for me, really, by connecting to the why, what I like to talk about is what I've created called the life compass. So it's really connecting with our why, and then creating this life compass, defining our life compass, and that becomes then our navigational tool. So we can take more purposeful action, make more purposeful decisions, and proceed towards greater freedom, fulfillment, and happiness. So to do that, I have 4 elements of the compass, and those are dreams and passions, skills and talents, core values, needs and desires. So they're the 4 sort of points on the compass. And I have a bunch of questions that I ask people around each of those elements to really help them delve into, creating their why. And it really connects to their why, to their history, to their past experiences. And, it answers the questions around each of those elements, so they can then go, well, that's what's important to me. That's my why. And I'm going to use that to make better decisions going forward, rather than getting lost in the chaos of life and being really dictated to by external factors. And I think that's what a lot of us do. We sort of become guided by the externals of life rather than being guided within. And I think that's when we go off on journeys that aren't our own. And that's where, for me, in my experience, a lot of the suffering was arising from. And once I realized that and started to climb back onto my own journey in life, I started to, again, evolve my why, connect with my why more deeply, and find a more purposeful journey, find more meaning. And in that process, there's a lot of work involved, but in that process, I've found greater happiness and still working towards that. So I think that's what it's really about for a lot of people. So I have a questionnaire that they can certainly take a look at thehiddenwhy.com. That'll be under review very soon as well. And that's called the Discover Your Why questionnaire. So it's at the resources page at thehiddenwhy.com.
Excellent. Now, you have interviewed some really interesting guests through all of your, like you said, over 100 interviews. What lessons have stand out in your mind that you can share and maybe reference some of those episodes?
Yeah, well, I guess the big three for me that stand out. I mean, there's so many lessons. It's too many. Like I'm writing a book on it, and I've just written it. The first draft, it's 100,000 words plus. And that's really the accumulation of all the interviews and learnings I've had, plus, the books I've read, et cetera, over the last several years. But the key three learnings, number one is, again, connecting within, connecting to the why, and really becoming your own leader in life, becoming your own internal guide. Don't be guided by the external factors. I think that's the most critical. And it's sort of hard to get your head around, but that's what's important. We become so easily obsessed with everything external and external drivers that it's just not a way to create a peaceful existence. And I don't believe it's a way to create the most successful existence. So really, that's the one lesson I've had, is a lot of these people I've interviewed, they seem to have deep guidance from within to the journey that they take in life. The second one, which is paramount, is awareness. And this is something that I've just grown and grown with, but it's really just becoming more aware. And it starts with, observing the mind and looking within. And as you create that awareness, it's just amazing how much more ease you can go through each moment. And then this is the balance between, ambition, because obviously ambition, it drives us so much that we're looking always into the future, always looking to expand our needs and desires, always in the chase, and it sort of takes us away from the moment and the beauty of living this life. So awareness really helps bring balance to that, without being, struck to a life of passivity. So it sort of brings that balance, and it brings the balance to all the aspects of our life. So if you're looking for your why, you need to create awareness within, you need to search within, ask those questions within. If you're, looking awareness about what your goal is, you need to really be clear on that. It's just a great way to be more present in each moment. And certainly meditation is the practice for me. I started a few years back where I just started meditating on the floor, had no idea what I wanted to do, to a point now where I meditate morning and night. And it is just amazing, the sense of peace and happiness that I have from just doing that practice. And that's, hand on the heart. It's just amazing sort of process. So I believe awareness is the second key element that I've discovered by interviewing people. They all seem to have some sort of mindfulness practice and that greater sense of awareness about their life. And the third point is you have to do the work. It's easy to, learn and consume yourself with learning. It's easy to, fill yourself with positive thoughts and all that sort of stuff, but nothing will come to anyone if you don't do the work. And doing the work, there's many different sort of elements to that as well, but doing the work really means just putting your head down and doing the work that matters to your why, doing the work that is important for you, and not worried about what everyone else is doing. Just do what you want to do what you need to do, and be persistent in that. And you will be persistent in doing the work if it's really connected with your why, because when you're connected with your why, when it's an internal desire, deep internal desire, you will sustain no matter what challenges or adversity you come across. What most of us do is we do the work based on external drivers, the reward to get a promotion or something. And what we can often find in doing that is we don't have the sustainability. We don't have the courage to proceed when times get tough, and then we find ourselves giving up and going, oh, well, that's not my purpose. What is it? And that's because we're driven externally. So really connecting with that why is critical. So yeah, why, awareness, and doing the work are the three things that I've really learnt from the interviews I've done.
I hope you're enjoying this interview so far. We'll get back to it in a minute, but first, I wanted to share a message that has been on my mind to bring to you. I started this journey because I wanted not only to help you experience amazing health, but I wanted to find it myself. And what better way to find something than to learn from experts and also to teach it? Through this last year of doing the holistic podcast known as Learn True Health, I have had the honor of connecting with over 100 experts in the field of natural medicine. One thing that's really inspired me is there's a group of people, in fact, it's the fastest growing career field in the United States right now, and that is health coaches. I didn't really appreciate them or understand what their role was until after I started interviewing enough of them. And I found that health coaches have an amazing ability to impact someone's life far beyond what medical doctors are doing right now. You see, you might see your medical doctor once you're already sick, right? The old paradigm of healthcare is to go to a doctor when you're sick, wait till your body breaks down or show signs of symptoms, and then you need a doctor's intervention. Not many people, now maybe you do because you're smart and because you're a Learn True Health listener, you probably do this to some extent. Go to a doctor on a regular basis and get great health advice from them. Do you go to your doctor and they say, hey, I noticed that you could really use more vitamin C and I think you should eat this. And I really think that based on your body weight and based on your blood work that a few more minutes of cardiovascular exercise. And here, why don't I go ahead and show you how to do it? Why don't I go ahead and, I've got some recipes that are really going to help you because I see in your blood work that you could really benefit from these nutrients. Why don't I go ahead and spend an hour with you and help you do that so we can get you on the right track? No medical doctor does that. And if they do, God, hold on to them and definitely tell everyone about them. I don't know any medical doctor that has the ability to sit down with you on a regular basis and not only find out about your lab work, but also find out about your health in every aspect of your life. You see, if you have a really, really stressful job and you have no outlet for that, that can bleed into other areas of your life and lead to ill health, right? So what I'm learning about health coaches is that they help their clients to gain balance and holistic health in every area of their life. They come to you wherever you are, whether you're still eating McDonald's and you're 400 pounds and you're sitting on the couch, whether you're driving a truck and you just don't have time for exercise and you really do want to eat healthy, but you're always like 100 miles away from any Whole Foods, or whether you're already gluten-free and already eating organic, and you could just really use some extra advice to take your health to the next level. Wherever you are, a health coach meets you where you are. And then what they do is they slowly add step by step the most powerful but manageable changes slowly that make the biggest difference in your life. And they help you to find out what it is that you need most that's going to make the biggest difference in your life. And so the more I learn about health coaches, the more I realize that we need more health coaches in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia. We need more help, this kind of help where someone can be our health advocate, where they can hold our hand, where they can take the time to slowly teach us the things that we wish our parents and our grandparents had taught us. The things that we wish we had learned in high school, the things that should be taught in home ec, right? And unfortunately aren't. The lessons that we want to learn so that we can pass these lessons on and these healthy habits on to our children and to our future generations. Now is the tipping point. You may have heard the scary statistic that our children's generation now has a smaller life expectancy than we do. Can you imagine if we're meant to live to be, for example, 75 years old, our children might only live to be 68? This is very scary. The fact that diabetes and prediabetes, 1 in 3 people have blood sugar issues. The scary statistic that 1 in 2 men in their lifetime will experience cancer. 1 in 3 women in their lifetime now will experience cancer. These are statistics that need to be stopped, and only you can do that. So if you're the type of person that knows that you could benefit from it, I highly recommend checking out a health coach. Now, I am actually in a health coaching program, becoming a certified health coach, and in 6 months I will be a certified health coach. And I am absolutely loving this program. I'm halfway through the program. And I'm sending this message to you not only for those who want to make changes in their life, but I know there's a listener out there who is looking for a new career, who's looking to shift their life. Now, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition was started over 25 years ago by Joshua Rosenthal. You can go back and listen to my interview with Joshua Rosenthal, which, I mean, he is my hero. He's absolutely amazing. I recommend listening to his interview. He started this actually for women. Now, he has men in his course, and I love seeing and hearing that men are getting into the health coaching field. But Joshua actually started the Institute for Integrative Nutrition for women because he saw that there was an imbalance in the workforce, that women had less opportunities 25 years ago to be able to live their passion and be mothers and maybe work from home. And as a health coach, you can do that. You can still be a mom. You can still have a career. You can still be a full-time mom. You can still homeschool. Whatever you want to do, you can fit health coaching into your life however you see fit. It's amazing. What I also love about Institute for Integrative Nutrition is that they also have a business courses. So not only are you learning how to be an exceptional health coach, but you're also learning how to hit the ground running however you want, whether you want to do full-time or part-time, whether you want to take on one client a week, a month, whether you want 100 clients. They teach you how to structure your business, how to market yourself in a way that comes from your heart, comes from authenticity, comes from integrity. I have never been more inspired by an institute in my life. So for the listener out there that has been seeking, that has been looking for their life purpose, that when they think about the possibility of helping someone, of helping people, they get teary-eyed. Every time I think about people who are hurting, that I could impact their life, that I could help them, I just start crying. Tears of joy and inspiration. I want to help people. And so if you, like me, are inspired by helping people and you really are passionate, you don't have to know anything. You don't have to know anything about health. You don't have to be an expert. That's fine. You don't have to have a degree. You can start as a student with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and they'll teach you everything you need. And you can do it in your spare time, do the course in your spare time while you're a full-time mom, or while you're working full-time, or whether maybe you're still a student. I love how they really organize, and they spent years. I mean, they've been teaching it for 25 years. They've organized the material. It's all online, so you can be anywhere in the world. There's students all around the world. So if you're the listener that I'm talking to about wanting to shift your career or add to your career, maybe you're already in the health field, you just want to increase your knowledge, or maybe you just have a calling and you want to try it out, please check out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Go to their website. It's IIN, Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Check them out. Give them a call and ask for, you can get a download to their course, their curriculum. You can even do one of their classes for free to check it out, to see if it's a match for you. When you go to enroll, mention you heard it from me, Ashley James, Learn True Health podcast, because I have aligned myself with them to make sure that you get a special. I want to hook you up. Any of my listeners who go through their program get a special from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And also, I want you to tell me. I want you to email me, ashley@learntruehealth.com. Join our Facebook group. Just search Learn True Health in Facebook. Join our group. I want you to contact me and tell me you're going through the program. I want to support you in your success. If you have any questions or you just want to tell me how amazing it is, I have some great listeners that have already gone or have begun going through their program, and they all love it. And I love creating this community. So if this is something you think would be interesting to you, even if anything I've mentioned is remotely interesting, if you go to learntruehealth.com, on the sidebar, you'll see halfway down, just scroll halfway down, you'll see that there's in the widget section, a place where you can click to get more information about the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, or just go to their website. Their website was so impressed me because you see all of the teachers that teach their course, and you begin to recognize their names, and you realize that these are all sort of heroes in the holistic health field, and you can't believe that you're going to be learning from them. It's been a dream come true, and I've had some of their teachers on the show already, and I'm going to have more. I've scheduled some to be on the show in the future. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my message. I wanted to take the time to give you this information because I know that there are some listeners out there that are looking for this change now, and they're looking to shift their career to help people that they genuinely want to make a difference. We want to shift the message from the old paradigm of wait till you get sick and then go to a doctor and get a pill, to shifting our lifestyle so we're living the most authentic, healthy lifestyle possible, so that we can have a life that is vibrant, that is full of energy. We can have health freedom, right? Don't we want to wake up feeling like we're 18 years old every day, no matter what? And we can have that. So if you want to have that for yourself, get a health coach. Definitely get an IAN health coach. If you want to learn how to do that so you can do it for yourself and help others, definitely check out taking the Institute for Integrative Nutrition's health coaching program. It's a certification program. I highly recommend it. And if you have any questions, absolutely feel free to email me. Excellent. Well, enjoy the rest of this interview. Oh, that is so perfect. I love that you said that you observed that a lot of the really successful people you've interviewed all have an awareness practice, like a meditation practice, to be able to take that time and look within and quiet the mind. Because so much what's racing through the mind are those external motivators, right? You know, like I gotta pay off my car. I want to buy a new house. I need to lose weight and go to the gym. I need to get new clothes. I need to, plan a vacation. I need to go to the grocery store. And yes, it's important, but all this stuff is not what's going to add up to spiritual value.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to go, is it really important? Is this really important? And that's sort of one of the things I've come across is asking myself that question: does this really matter? Is at the end of my life this going to be really important to me? And when you're in a sticky situation, maybe an argument with a friend, or maybe you're having some money troubles or something like that, the awareness just allows you to really sort of slow down and focus in and really ask yourself that question: does this really matter? And most of the times you'll find it doesn't. What I've recently come to realize is that suffering only happens to what is real. So, I'm real and I can suffer. You're real, you can suffer. The earth is real, it can suffer. But all the other stuff in our life, most of that can't suffer, that's not really that real. It's really a creation of the mind and the story that we've told ourselves as a human race. And when you start to look at things like that, you can really start to remove the unnecessary crap, in our lives that just causes that sense of disease. And it's almost to a point where now I've created this amazing sense of ease where I just feel, it's almost a sense of complacency, but I'm still ambitious. I'm still driving. I'm still working on the projects, but I just feel that calmness, and I don't feel stressed or hung up on the past or worried about the future. I feel really present at the moment, yet still being able to have that ambition and the dreams and the desires to really create something unique with my life. And it's still a work in progress. I'm still trying to figure out that balance, because I think we can fall both ways. I think we can really fall back into that contemplative, passive life where we're just, I don't know, meditating, 24 hours a day and not doing really much with our lives. But a lot of us are ambitious. A lot of us have big goals. A lot of us want to offer, greater value and help other people. So it's finding that balance. And once awareness really brings that balance to that piece of the puzzle, I think.
Now, you'd mentioned that, like, when we're real, we can suffer, and those that things that aren't real don't suffer. Can you elaborate?
Yeah. Well, so what is only what can suffer is real. So if you think about it, what things in your life can suffer? What can actually have suffering? And really, it's comes down to only sort of living conscious things that can have that sort of suffering, I feel. And if that is the reason for my purpose is to, sorry, I've got a scratch in my throat. If that's the reason to, remove the suffering from my life, if when I look at things like that and go, well, you know what, this whole money problem that I'm having right now, it's not real. The suffering it might cause me can be real if I allow it to cause me suffering, but money generally can't cause us suffering unless we let it to. So it's just a perspective to look at the world and look at your life in that way and say, well, it's all a creation. Like money isn't real, yeah. Like it's a creation of humanity. There's more money that exists in our minds than actually exists in physical property these days. So it's nothing is real except for that can suffer. And if you look at that, it really allows you to focus on, well, what's really important right now? What's really important in my life? So does that make sense?
So we're looking to ease our own suffering. So if someone was suffering because, let's say, they have to work 2 jobs and they're, maybe they have a bunch of kids, or they have there's a lot of people depending on them. And I know that I've had several listeners. We did a survey at the beginning of the year, and I surveyed my listeners on things like, how happy are you? Do you, are you, what area of your life do you have to work on the most? Like, mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical health. What kind of goals what life do you wish you could live? That kind of thing. And I had people writing in, and I also asked questions about physical health as well. And big concerns were, I work 2 jobs, or I work, the night shift. I have, either they're taking care of their parents, or they're taking care of kids, or taking care of their grandkids, and they just have no time to set aside any time to cook healthy meals and exercise, because all their time's eaten up basically earning money and taking care of people. And I know a lot of single moms, and a lot of, even moms, families in general. I even have people, listeners that should be in retirement, but they have to keep working because they have to keep supporting their family or supporting themselves. And so this concept of, I need to make money and I don't have any time for myself to do things that would be healthy for me. Please help, because I want to be healthy. And there's also, I hear this sort of, one day when I retire, then I'll be happy, or one day when I have this money, then I'll be happy. But right now they can't be, or one day when I have more time, then I'm going to be able to exercise, then I'm going to be able to
all the alibis.
Right.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, and they, they feel hectic from morning till night. So taking these listeners who are in that mindset, and really have all those things going on in their life, what kind of advice can you give them to be able to slow their life down and shed the suffering?
Yeah, look, it's really tough, and I think that's the challenge that we face in this modern world that we live in. It's we're just all so overwhelmed, and I'm really fortunate to have the life that I have now, because I don't feel that. Yes, there's money to think about, and there's a family that I have to think about, but not to the extremes where I'm working 2 jobs, and really if I stop one job, then it's going to cost my family a meal. That's not my situation, so it's hard for me to relate. But certainly, I can see that that's the chaos that we are facing in this modern age, and the stories that I've read recently sort of indicate that we are at the most vulnerable self of our survival is really up to ourself. I mean, there's no external things that are causing our death or survival. More so than actually ourselves. We are more at risk ourselves of dying than anything else. And that just sort of puts things in perspective about how the world's sort of advanced to. Like, we now are more prone to suicide and overindulging, overweight. There's 3 million people, or 3 million, I think 3 million people that are at risk of dying from obesity, compared to 1 million people dying from starvation. And that's really, a sign of what's happened in the world, and compared to the past, where it used to be starvation was the main cause of death. So things have really made a turn, and for those people that are in that position where they're really working 2 jobs, and I get it that they can't, give up one job, because that would cost them, their families' sort of health and well-being. So what can they do to really bring that sense of calmness? Well, I'm not really sure exactly what sort of hours you're talking about here, but I mean, are they getting up at 6 o'clock and going straight to work and getting home at 8 o'clock, or what's?
I don't have any of the details, but I do know that the several listeners have shared that they feel as though they have no time for themselves.
Yeah,
They have no time to put into their health, and so it's this running around like a chicken with their head cut off
right.
sensation.
Okay, so I think that the work, the job's never going to suffer whether you're there or not. What's going to suffer is you if your health isn't in good order, and that's something that I've had to come to realize myself because I used to work 70-hour weeks in corporate and didn't really give myself that much time for health. I've always had an okay balance, but there were certainly a lot of things I did in my life that wasn't good for my health. For anyone that says I don't have enough time for health, that is an absolute clear sign that they need to do whatever they can to create the time, because health is the most fundamental thing of our lives. If you don't have health, you're not going to be able to support your family. If you don't have health, you're not going to be able to keep those jobs going. If you don't have health, you will mentally fatigue yourself, you will physically destroy yourself, and you will just be unable to continue on living a great life, and then you'll be useless to everyone. So if you start thinking about health in that respects, health is most fundamental. And you can work your heart out for 10 years, 20 years, working two jobs, and at the end of that, you will find your physical and mental health destroyed, and you will be just of no value to anyone, your family or whatever you're working for. And that's the way I put things into perspective. I, was a big believer in working hard and doing what it took to earn the money and buy investment properties and cars and things like that, so I could raise a good family. And it was recently where I just decided, no, that's not really necessary. My health is more important. My well-being, my state of being is really important to me, and all that other stuff can come later. I'd rather be focused on health and getting the fundamentals right there first, and then improving in the other areas. Now, I've gone from quite a high-paying job in corporate to a position now where I don't earn as much as I did when I was in corporate, but my health and my state of well-being is so much profoundly better, and I'm building those foundations. And I know once they become really, really solid in my life, I will be able to offer more value to people. And once I can start doing that, all the other things will start flowing. That is my belief, at least. I don't know. I haven't gotten to that point where it's happening. But I really believe that's what's really important. So to look at your life, you have to go, well, what areas of my life, outside of work, I've got to work from, 8 to 5 every day. What outside those hours am I doing that really isn't conducive to my health? And what can be removed? And I can probably, with most people, I could probably say there's things, if we did a one-on-one session, there's things that you could remove. And once you remove those things, put in health practices. I just spoke to a guy recently on my podcast, which will be launched sometime soon, and he was a truck driver. He was quite a successful athlete and a swimmer, and he has just launched a book called 3 Minute Fit. And in the truck driving industry, he saw all these truck drivers overweight, and he thought, that's the reality of their job is that they are truck drivers, and for long periods of time they're sitting down behind the wheel of a truck driving, long hauls, etc. And he wanted to really change that, so he looked for the best strategy he could to give give truck drivers their health back, and that was just by creating a 3-minute routine, and then going out there and training the truck drivers how to do this 3-minute routine, and then getting them all to do it. And the results were amazing. They saw a great decrease a great increase in health and a decrease in weight loss across the industry. And that was just by incorporating 3 minutes of health. So if you think about 3 minutes, we can all find 3 minutes in our day. And if you could just find that 3 minutes before each meal, before breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're going to improve your health. If you can just find 3 minutes to just really sit there in silence and just sort of focus within, you're going to, improve your mental health, and it'll grow from there. That's certainly the advice I'd give.
I love it. I love that advice. And then for those who've never meditated, there's so many of us who keep hearing over and over that it's really important to center ourselves and take that time to go within. How did you learn to meditate, and what advice can you give our beginner meditators?
Yeah, I still don't know if I know how to. I just started because I just heard it. I heard everyone talking about it, and I thought, okay, well, if everyone's talking about it, there must be some sort of value in it. And I really just started sitting on my floor in my office because that's the image I had. of people sitting cross-legged on their floors, and that's what I started to do it. And I just closed my eyes, and from there I just learnt. And as I sort of did that practice, I thought, well, how can I make this better? Because when you do something and it's not feeling quite right, you want to seek the learnings to make it better. And that's what I did. I just sought out different podcasts. I sought out books, or, whatever I could to find out what sort of I could do to improve that practice. I grabbed an app called Headspace. There's plenty of apps out there. One was Headspace that I grabbed. So that's guided meditation, and that's a really cool program. There's free ones as well. So that one is a paid one. But for those of you that may not have the budget, you can go out there and get free apps. And just start by sitting there and putting yourself in silence. Now, you never stop thoughts. They just keep coming. But once you can sort of just focus on a certain object, and the most basic one is breathing, so just focusing on breath in, breath out. Once you can really bring up that, you can start seeing the thoughts come into your mind, and you can really, it's amazing. You can see where the thoughts come from, and you can even connect with why they exist, and where, where they've sort of, been born from in essence. And once you see that, you can really find more calmness in that, and you can see them just sort of disappear as well. They come and go, just like everything in life. Nothing's permanent. So yeah, you just develop your practice. You just keep learning. I'm still learning. I'm just reading a great book now called 10% Happier by Dan Harris. Highly recommend it. It's about his journey as a TV news reporter anchor. He he had a crazy life, and he just went through this mindfulness and learning process, and he had some great learnings, but some learnings that just didn't quite make sense to him, and he kept pursuing his learnings, and to a point where he went on a 10-day meditation retreat, and that's all he did for 10 days was meditate, which I haven't done yet, but he's inspired me to seek that out in some point in my life over the next couple of years, because I just think there's so much value in it. So for those that are novice meditators, just sit down, close your eyes, and try and focus on your breath, and just try and clear your thoughts and observe the mind, and see what happens. And from there, if it seems of interest to you, just find more learnings, read a book or join a podcast or get some guided meditations, some apps on your phones or something like that can help you.
I love that you said that you notice the thoughts coming and going and where they're coming from, and then you begin to see that these thoughts are transient. They're not permanent, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in that our belief system, our thoughts are reality. So if you're in a relationship and the person dumps you, in that moment, your world has ended, and we've made it mean that we'll be alone for the rest of our life, that we're unloved, that the misery we're having right now is going to be the rest of our life. And that's some people will end their life because they can't see beyond that immediate moment of pain and suffering. And for those who take the time to train themselves to step within and just observe thoughts and breathe and have the thoughts come and go, they begin to see their belief systems aren't the reality. Just because something happens doesn't mean this one thing we make it mean, and we can see the fluidity. So it begins to allow us to see light at the end of the tunnel in situations that seem dire in the moment. We know that in the coming days we're going to begin to see possibilities, and we'll be able to crawl our way out of that, right? So taking that time to go within allows us to see our resourcefulness, and that those immediate thoughts don't have to have control. We don't have to let them control us. I love that you mentioned the book, 10% Happier. I keep hearing everyone say to read it, so I'm going to have to read it. I recommend checking out Hacking the Universe by Forrest Knudsen, who I've had on the show, and he was a yogi and lived in a monastery, and he figured out a way to use almost like a biofeedback to help people deepen their meditation practice. So complete beginners can do it, and also very advanced monks have used it, and they all say it's really helpful. So that's
what was that? Hacking
the Universe by Forrest Knudsen, and I believe his website is thatyogiguy.com, but you can find him on Amazon. Totally recommend him. He's really cool. But I'm definitely going to check out the 10% Happier book, because I think we could all use that. Being 10%.
What I love about 10% Happier, Dan Harris, he is just so direct and honest. Like it's just his story, and he will say what he thinks, and he says it throughout the book, and that's what I really love, because it really shows the truthful journey that he's had into meditation. And he was a skeptic. He thought, what's all this crap? And it's just really insightful and so vulnerably honest. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And your third thing that you mentioned that was a big lesson is doing the work. And I think that is really important because so many people will go dive into a spiritual practice, but then never apply it. And you're saying that we have to go out there and actually apply it. So once someone's found their why, or they begin to uncover sort of their purpose, or maybe you could tell some stories share some stories of success, some testimonials about how people discovered their why and then figured out how to apply it in their daily life.
Yeah, look, I think the thing that they can do is just ask yourself, what are you passionate about? What do you love? And to do that, reflect back to your childhood. What things fired you up? What things really made you happy, made you excited? What were some of the standout memories of your life? Because if you can connect with those, there's probably a reason why they stand out to you. And they're probably the things that you're passionate about. You could ask yourself the question, what's your earliest childhood memory? And when you ask yourself that question, what's the first thing that comes to mind? There's probably some sort of connection there to what in life you really enjoy and what in life you really value. So connect back to your past and ask yourself what you're really passionate about. And then if you really want to do the work and you're committed to that, find out, as I said before, what areas of your life outside of your work or career or whatever you're doing, what areas of life are just not conducive. So many people watch TV and if you're part of the average watch 5 hours of TV a day, you've got some time to do stuff that you're passionate about. I wasn't that big into TV. I certainly watched some TV, but what I did was remove TV from my life. I started to wake up an hour earlier, and I just created that time where I could do some of these things that I was passionate about. So reading was one of those practices. I started doing that at night by removing the TV, and then in the morning, I started to focus on things I was passionate about. Sorry, my kids have just woken up. I started to...
No worries.
So in the morning, I started to focus on things I was passionate about as well, and part of that was just to do some exercise to get my mind going. And then I used to write in the morning, so I just created some time for it. And as I did that, I started just focusing on those passions. That allowed me to really become more curious about my why, become more curious about myself. And as I did that, it sort of rolled from there, and I just created more and more of it. I sort of evolved my why and connected more within, and things sort of steamrolled from there and snowballed. So I think that's something that a lot of people can do, is just find the time where things that are just wasteful are not purposeful to the journey they really want to take, and try and incorporate some passion back into life.
Wonderful. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show. All the links to everything that Leigh does is going to be in the show notes of today's podcast. Please visit his website, thehiddenwhy.com. Check out his podcast. And now people can definitely listen to you and follow you by going to your website. And if someone would like to work with you one-on-one, do you do one-on-one coaching?
Yeah, I do, depending if there's a fit, I suppose. But what I do offer is just a consultation course, firstly. So if my message resonates with some people out there, if they're looking for, more connection to their journey and their why, they can connect with me at The Hidden Why. There is a coaching link there, or coaching tab, and they just click that link and schedule a time, and we just have a chat for however long we need to, half an hour about their life. And if there's a fit there for us to work together, great, we can go pursue that. If there's not, hopefully in that call we can give some value anyway and allow them to sort of, start connecting with their why and creating that life.
Wonderful. So you offer basically a free consultation call to see if you guys are a good fit together. I love that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I love what you brought for us today. I think it's so important that we, like you said, that we stop focusing on the external, or at least as much, and start focusing more on the internal, finding that purpose that really drives us, and then getting out there and doing some action, and especially taking the time every day to look within and to calm our mind. So those are wonderful steps that we can all go do today. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I look forward to seeing you grow and seeing your podcast grow and your YouTube channel grow and touch more lives.
Thank you, Ashley. It's been an absolute pleasure. Sorry about the kids there.
No, it's wonderful. It's great. And go have a fantastic day with your family.
We're going to go eat some breakfast. Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy what you heard today on your episode of the Learn to Health podcast. Did something move you, inspire you? Did you get great information that's going to change your life? Awesome. That's exactly what I'm here to do, is to help you gain your health back. Please turn around and share this. If this is something that's helped you in any way, share this with those you love. Love the Learn True Health podcast and want to support us? Awesome. You can go to takeyoursupplements.com and you can support us that way. You'll get access to amazing supplements that are just really great quality for a great price. And there'll be someone on the other end of the line to help you pick out your supplements that are right for you. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Or join our membership, learntruehealth.com/join. That's another great way to support our podcast, support our movement, and you'll be supporting yourself. Gain more information, wonderful videos, wonderful trainings, and you'll also be able to share those with those you love as well. So go to learntruehealth.com/join. Want something fun for free? Go to learntruehealth.com, and right there on the front page, you'll see where you can get our free cookbook. I spent a lot of time making it, and it was so much fun. It's really delicious, healthy recipes. And you can also get our 7-day doctor course. Right there, it's 7 days of naturopathic videos sent right to your inbox, and you can learn from top naturopaths on how to gain health naturally. So that's takeyoursupplements.com for wonderful supplements. learntruehealth.com/join to join our awesome membership, which is only open for a limited time. You can get our free healthy cookbook, and you can also get for free 7 days of wonderful naturopathic videos sent to you. Just go to learntruehealth.com and you'll see it right there on the front page. Thank you so much for being a listener, and thank you for sharing and helping others. Let's spread this information and turn this ripple into a tidal wave.